Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's lovely to see you all. Some of you who seem to have been at Government House many times here, referring to the captain, so it's really fantastic to see you all here again. And I just, as a point, I so enjoyed being able to introduce you all to Her Majesty 2 weeks ago. It was a real thrill. So, Minister, Captains of the Parish, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I would like to welcome you all to this very special ceremony today at Government House to swear in Mr. David Martin as the new Captain of the Parish of Andreas. Now, before we begin the formal part of the ceremony, and for those who've not attended one of these ceremonies before, I thought that you might like to know a little more about the origins of this very special appointment. So the ancient and uniquely Manx office of Captain of the Parish was first recorded in 1626 to provide the defensive system of watch and ward, which originated from Norse times, in order to maintain ceaseless vigilance to prevent invasion of the island. Formerly the head of the militia within the parish, these days the captain of the parish post is largely ceremonial and a titular honour in recognition of the senior resident of the parish. There are, of course, certain formal occasions, such as royal visits, Tynwald Day and the swearing-in of the new Lieutenant Governor, when the attendance of a captain of the parish is expected. They also have the responsibility for chairing election hustings and requisition meetings. Traditionally, the post has tended to be for lifetime, although there have been occasions when a captain has retired. Now, Mr. Martin has kindly agreed to take on the role of Captain of the Parish of Andreas following Mrs. Dorothy Sales CP, who sadly passed away in January this year. Dorothy had fulfilled the duties of the role with dignity and diligence for some 21 years, and it's wonderful to see Dorothy's family represented here today by Chris and Joanne. And I think it's appropriate at this point that we just have a moment of silence to remember Dorothy. Thank you. So, Mr. Martin's family are one of the oldest farming families on the island, having lived at Knockiedooney for more than 500 years. A number of his ancestors have served as captains of the parish of Andreas in past centuries, including as the first recorded custos, or captain, of the watch and ward for Andreas in 1627, which by anyone's, I think that's a long time ago. The most recent of his family to serve as captain of the parish was his late father, John James Martin, who served as captain of the parish of Andreas from 1976 until he felt he should retire due to failing eyesight. Now, the running order. The running order of the ceremony is as follows. Mrs. Hilary Lees, my chief of staff, will first read the oath administered to the captain of the parish. Mr. David Martin will then read the oath of allegiance. I will then read out the warrant. Now, I should warn you that the warrant is written in quite old-fashioned English, and it takes a little bit of thinking to work out exactly what it means. And I've done it a number of times, and I have to really think about it. So you will all have to really think about it. I will then present the frame warrant to Mr. Martin and his badge of office. Then he will sign the Liber Juramentorum under the watchful eye of Kevin Cullen from the courts. I'll then say a few words, and Mr. Martin then has the right to reply. I know he's not going to go over 45 minutes. Then there will be time for photographs and the highlight of the ceremony, tea and cake next door. Hilary, over to you.
You shall well and truly execute the office of Captain of the Parish of Andreas, according to the tenor of your commission in that behalf, and to such instructions as may be given to you from time to time by His Majesty, His Majesty's Governor or Lieutenant Governor, or other your superior officers, for the good government of this isle and the due execution of the laws thereof. So help you God.
I, John David Tia Martin, do swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors. So help me God.
I'm now going to read the wording of the warrant. The warrant is here, as you can see. So the wording of the warrant. By virtue of the power and authority in me vested by His Majesty, and out of the confidence I have in the courage, conduct and fidelity of you, the said David Martin, I have nominated, authorised and appointed, and by these presents do nominate, authorise and appoint you, the said David Martin, to be captain of the militia of and belonging to the parish of Andreas, in the place of Dorothy Sale, thereby giving and granting to you full power and authority to train up and exercise the said militia in the best manner for the defence of the said isle on any emergency or in any time of danger. And I do hereby empower, authorise, and strictly require you to quell and suppress all riots, apprehend and secure all rioters, and generally, to the utmost of your ability, to preserve the King's peace within the said parish. And at all times, when necessity requires, to be aiding and assisting in having due obedience paid to all judgments, sentences, orders and decrees of all the civil magistrates of the said isle, for carrying the laws thereof into execution, and for the due administration of justice throughout the same, hereby requiring and strictly ordering all your inferior officers and all others His Majesty's subjects within the said parish to be aiding and assisting to you in the several matters aforesaid, and to yield due obedience to all your lawful commands in and about the same. And you are also to observe and perform all such orders, directions and instructions as you shall, from time to time, receive from His Majesty or His Majesty's Lieutenant Governor of the said isle for the time being, and other superior officers empowered in that behalf. And that's signed by myself on the 4th of April 2024. So David, it gives me great pleasure, he says, hopefully, as if I may, to present you with many congratulations. I think a round you stand down. Now, from memory, I need to go. It's easier that you're smaller than others. There we are. I'm going to lift them up. Okay. Brilliant. I think another roll around. Well done. Well done. Well done. Good deal. Well done. Thank you, Stu. Thanks, Kevin. Ladies and gentlemen, the selection and appointment of captain of the parish is one of the last few non-statutory duties held by the Lieutenant Governor. Obviously the representative of the Lord of Man. And it is a responsibility that I take very seriously, as I believe that this traditional and ancient office, which is so unique to the island, is a vital part of the fabric of the tapestry that makes up our island community. Of course, it is an appointment that connects the people of the parish to the government and to the Lieutenant Governor. But as importantly, the holders of the office help connect us all to the physical land of the island. The captains have a responsibility for maintenance of and are custodians of the traditions, history and heritage of this island. David, you have been selected to be captain of the Parish of Andreas as successor of Mrs. Dorothy Sales CP. I know that you recognise and appreciate the responsibilities of the office within the parish, its vital community role and the time that you will wish to dedicate to your duties. Whilst the weight of the responsibility will sit lightly on your shoulders, I should add that the decision that you have taken to accept the appointment is the decision that must be taken with due consideration to the impact of its duties on your work and home life. I believe that the appointment requires broad knowledge of the parish, regular community engagement, enthusiasm, energy, presence and effective public speaking. And critically, it requires a respect of the community that you represent and lead. And I am absolutely certain that you are the right person for the appointment and that you will be a first-class captain. As I said earlier this afternoon, the post of captain of the parish has traditionally been for lifetime. However, there is well-established precedent when captains have retired due to ill health, lack of mobility or other family reasons. Therefore, for my part, I will not hold you to the lifetime tenure, as I believe that the appointment should be for as long as you feel that you are able to do it in the manner in which you think it should be done. By the way, I have read that you can be removed by the Lieutenant Governor for inappropriate or bad conduct. Just note. So on behalf of everyone here, everyone in the Parish of Andreas and everyone, dare I say, on the Isle of Man, many congratulations on your appointment and may I wish you the very best of luck for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Mr. David Martin CP, Captain of the Parish of Andreas.
Your Excellency, Lady Lorimer, fellow captains, family and friends, thank you all for coming here this afternoon to support me. I must start by, of course, thanking Your Excellency for entrusting me with the role of the next captain of the Parish of Andreas, an ancient office in which I will do my best to serve the people of Andreas and our island. The role does have great resonance for me, and it also gives a clue as to why I was christened John David Tia Martin, although I go by Dave Martin, because as His Excellency has just preceded my late father, John James Martin, was CP of Andreas in the 1970s. Back in the mid-1800s, the captain of Andreas was John Tia Martin. And then going back to when Constance Radcliffe transcribed the Castle Rushen papers for her book, of which I can spy a copy there on the captains, the custos of the watch and ward for both the day and the night watch of Andreas was my great to the whatever grandfather Finlow Martin of Knockadinny. So he was in post when James Stanley became Lord of Man in 1627, I think it was. We don't know exactly how they were sworn in, but in those days, but it's possible, Sir John, that your ancestor, William Stanley, administered some similar oath in relation to the militia to my ancestor, Finlow Martin, 400 years ago.
We're still getting over it.
And while it predates Watch and Ward and the captains of the parish, the hill where my possible even more great-grandfather was buried in his Viking ship was almost certainly the location from which the Andreas watch was kept. And I guess the Viking chieftain who was buried in his ship was not only captain of his ship, but maybe even captain of his domain. I was going to say that I had big shoes to fill. That may be true for some of the Martins, but it would be totally inappropriate to use such terminology in relation to my immediate predecessor, especially with an earshot of Joanne and Chris, who I'm particularly delighted to be able to be here with us today. And finally, I'd like to thank my new colleagues for welcoming me to the family of captains. And once again, thank you, Your Excellency, for appointing me, and everyone for coming today. Thank you.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the formal part of this afternoon. As if by magic, the doors will be opening behind, and there will be tea, coffee, and hopefully some cake. And you are all most welcome to come and join us through there. There will also be an opportunity for photographs with the new captain of the Parish of Andreas, and indeed any pictures you want to have taken. And it's lovely to see you all. And once again, if I may, on your behalf, congratulate Dave as the new captain of the Parish of Andreas.
Mr. David Martin, captain of the Parish of Andreas.
Thank you, Sam. It's a real honour today to be sworn in as the new captain of the Parish of Andreas. It's an ancient office, and I follow Mrs. Dorothy Sale, who was an excellent captain of Andreas. It is a role that's been going for many hundreds of years. It started with organising the militia to defend the island, and the north coast of the island was a place that was particularly vulnerable to those coming across from Scotland. In fact, the earliest records we have for captains of the parish are when they were responsible for the day and the night watch, which was kept as a sort of a home guard, local defence volunteers, and there was a militia, and the warrant of appointment still empowers the captain of the parish to raise the militia. In 1626, when there was the first tabulation of the captains, the captain of the Watch and Ward for Andreas was Finlow Martin, my great to the whatever grandfather, and several others of my family. My late father was captain of the Parish of Andreas in the 1970s, and James Tier Martin in the mid-1800s. So it's a role that's got great resonance.
So it's almost just under 400 years of sort of legacy to pick up on.
It is. I mean, it's categorically not hereditary. I mean, the governors choose what they believe to be the right person, but it's a great honour to follow in the footsteps of previous captains. Although I have to say that I have to be careful I don't allude to Dorothy like that, because she was a very nice lady. So I won't say I'm following in Dorothy's footsteps, or maybe follow Dorothy's footsteps, but not big shoes.
And what are you most looking forward to about the role? Because obviously you're somebody who's quite clearly community-minded and that way anyway. So what are you looking forward to? It's continuing the heritage and championing the parish. Nowadays there is too much of a trend, whether it's in architecture or whatever else, that things become unified. So we end up with a blandscape of architecture, and we can lose community identity. So helping to preserve and celebrate the community, I think, is the biggest honour.